Hi, this is Dalton Hill, and this is the refactoring process for implementation in iteration 3. Um, so for iteration 3, I had to use different strategy patterns to implement beta sieve, gamma sieve, and delta sieve. And so what I did is I changed my game implementation file to take inputs of different strategy patterns for each one of the layout, and then the winner and aging strategy, and the action strategy. So for Delta Civ, that was the change in layout strategy. So to allow for this, I basically made a separate class called layout strategy. That this one's the interface that has all of the functions, and it basically can store the tiles and then the units and the city individually as arrays, and then those arrays are iterated through. And so, for instance, here is the tile being iterated through. So if I open up alpha layout, for instance, this is the tile layout for alpha sieve. And in game implementation, this would be loaded at the start of the game when game is actually called. This alpha sieve layout strategy would be the argument in game, and then that actual string here with the layout is iterated through, and for each individual character in that string, if one of these characters matches, it's able to decide what tile should be there and then place it there. So then I had to do a similar thing for red units and blue units, and I opted to have each color of unit be its own array in this layout strategy. So that way you can make it very simple and just have A, L, or S for Archer, Legion, and Settler. And then in game implementation, uh, I basically iterated through the list again and tested for each one of them for being a red character or for a red unit or a blue unit. Um, so then it iterates through them basically and puts them all into this unit array that before was individually assigned statically for one specific game setup. But this method allows me to have multiple layout strategies, and all they need to have in them is this um, map array to find out for the map for each type of unit. And then, as you'll see here at the bottom, I did it again for the cities themselves. And this one just places cities for red and blue because that's the only two teams that are available in Alpha Civ. So basing Delta Civ off of this, there's only those two teams available, but this easily could be expanded to have other teams. So in the Alpha Civ layout strategy, the cities, there's just an R for red and a B for blue, and then they're both called in and iterated through. And when they're found, it places a new city. Um, and then at this stage, the entire um, loadout of the tiles, the units, and then the cities is all complete. And then down here for, now this was for action type, which involves the unit actions. So this was the other variation of Gamma Civ. And so I opted at the beginning of game implementation to have a different layout strategy for each individual one. So for instance, if I open up test alpha civ, you'll see that I loaded in the alpha civ layout, the alpha civ winner strategy, and the alpha civ action strategy, because those were the three different strategies that I want for alpha civ itself. But if I load up delta civ, I loaded up the delta civ layout, but I also wanted it to have the same winning and aging strategy as alpha civ, and the same action strategy as Alpha Civ. So I just loaded both of those in. But these easily could be changed to any other strategy in the future. So then later on in game implementation, um, I also am calling for um, this action, the unit actions. I needed a way to pump the cities and the units to them. So I did that through this interface called action strategy, which just is simple setter and getter functions, and then the perform unit at function. And if I open up Alpha Civ action strategy, you'll see that it is just simple and it doesn't really change anything about Alpha Civ. But if you check Gamma Civ action strategy, it's also very similar, but it has actual actions going on for settlers and archers specifically. So this all could be done to have, say, legions do something else, or other units could do other things like this. Thank you.